Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sideline Shenanigans. I'm Brian, your host. I have Coach Jeremy Fendley here. Coach, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, let's start from the beginning. What got you into coaching high school football in the first place? Was there a moment or a person that really sparked it?
I played high school football, was kind of a troubled youth. Um, so, uh, like, I had the pleasure of playing for the great late Hall of Famer George Gilbert. He was more like a father figure. Like, we kind of talked. Coach Douglas was always very instrumental in my life, has been, like I said, since I was in seventh grade. Um, so I just always knew like I enjoyed having a life of service. So when I graduated high school, I joined the military, did
Mhm.
21 years, retired in 2016. My last 3 years, I had the great privilege of teaching at the United States Military Academy at West Point. Worked,
Really?
yeah, worked with the football team there as an officer representative for 3 years. So that opportunity really kind of re-sparked my love for the game of football from a mentoring platform, being able to use the game of football to influence and direct young men and women. Um, so I reached out to at that time it was Isaac Sturgis. He was the current coach at Clinton Central, my alma mater, where I graduated.
Mhm.
Interviewed, took on an assistant coaching position. I was the defensive line coach uh, for Coach Sturgis for 1 year. Then had another great opportunity to work for legendary coach Bud Wright at Sheridan. Um, so I took a job working for Coach Wright as a defensive and offensive line coach. Worked for
Mhm.
him and was a phenomenal experience at Sheridan for 2 years. Um, and then had an opportunity to go to Westfield High School and work for another phenomenal coach, Jake Gilbert, who was now the head coach at Wabash.
Mhm.
Coached outside linebackers and was one of the special teams coordinators for Westfield for 5 years. Um, and then the opportunity arose for me to come back to Clinton Central. And this would be, I'm going into my third year now as the head coach at Clinton Central.
Wow. I have to say thank you for your service, sir, Coach. Yeah, I come from sort of a military family. My grandpa was in the Navy, then the National Guard, and my uncle was actually in the excuse me. He was in the 101st Airborne Division. So I really appreciate veterans.
Well, we
I'd
appreciate
really like to say thank you. It really means a lot for what you did for our country.
Well, we thank you, and we always appreciate the support uh, and the strong uh, American civil, like everybody is very civil and very respectful. So we truly enjoy that.
All right, Coach. You've been around the game for a while now. What keeps you coming back? What still fuels your fire?
The kids. So, like I said, when I first got back into it, it was just the desire to. I was in the infantry in the military, so like just the strategic aspect of the game of football. I love chess, um, which is why I always loved, leading troops and soldiers and Marines. So I just always felt like if you're going to compare that to modern day gladiators, it's on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
You can uh, enact your will, and you can out scheme, and you can outthink your opponent. Um, I coached basketball for a couple of years. The transition game is just too quick for me. Um, I I enjoy a much more methodical, drawn out 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I grew up playing the veer, learned the veer, played, the triple option, the midline with Coach Wright. And then things kind of changed for me, opened my eyes up when I went to Westfield. They do the spread pro stuff. But it's
Mhm.
always just been about the kids. Like that's kind of what lights my fire, right? Like,
Mhm.
so I'm back home. I'm able to have a great impact and influence on our students, um, working with great staff, a great administration, a great coaching staff. I feel like for as small as we are and everything we've done, like we've been able to assemble everybody on my staff uh, either played at Clinton Central or I coached or coached me. Um, so like we are all like, I have kids from Westfield that I coached on staff. I have kids from Sheridan. Um, like we have been blessed enough to have people that are buying in to our philosophy and how we want to do things to where we have a great staff. I enjoy working with them. I always tell myself that when this is no longer fun and it's no more about the kids and developing young men of great character, then it's time for me to hang up the whistle.
Absolutely. Discipline's a big part of football, but so is connection. How do you walk the line between being tough and being understanding?
Well, so again, um, I am these kids, right? Like out of this on proper English. Like I was these kids, right? So like I was a knucklehead in school, right? So like it's one thing to put on a facade, right? To be fake and false about things. Like my kids know, I mean what I say and I say what I mean. We don't mess around in our program. We love everybody, but we have a strict standard. Like we were just talking this morning. We had a workout this morning. Um, there's a definition and a visual of what we consider a Clinton Central football player, and it starts in the classroom. So, like, if you
Mhm.
can't be that guy in a classroom, we don't expect you, or we're not going to have you try to be the guy on the football field. So,
Absolutely, because student comes first, especially
absolutely.
like no matter what level, you know, high school, college, pee wee, student comes first.
Well, and
Um,
kids these days have been, uh, I'm not going to say coddled, right? But like sometimes they just need the voice of reason that's going to be brutally honest sometimes, right? Like, um, as a parent who's got a young man getting ready to be in the seventh or getting ready to be in the eighth grade, he's in our junior high program.
mhm,
Like I even catch myself as a parent sometimes, like trying to make excuses or trying to validate some of his shortcomings, and then I got to catch myself. So, um,
mhm.
I just feel like as a coach, I'm not really necessarily there to be their friend. I'm there to be their mentor to help develop them. And then eventually, like I told you about Coach Douglas, right? Like me and Coach Douglas are
Mhm.
like brothers now. But it didn't start off that way. It was built on a relationship of mutual respect. And then as that relationship developed and grew over the years, then it turned into a friendship, a brotherhood. Um,
Mhm.
Him and his wife Tamara are more like family to me than some of my own family.
Absolutely. Coach Douglas, if you're hearing this, I love you to death. Thank you for coaching me for 4 years. I really appreciate you. All right, coach. What would you say the biggest challenge facing high school coaches right now, and how do you personally navigate it?
Well, I think that it's kind of that's really two sides of that coin, right? So I think you have what's troubling small schools is a
Mhm.
lot different than what is troubling large schools.
Right.
Having been at both, and have been in two of the top programs in single A and one of the top programs in 6A,
Mhm.
like the problems you have in those two programs are completely different. Um, for us, it started off with numbers. We started with 17 players my first year coaching, lost 2 to grades before the playoffs, and then 1 didn't show up to the playoff game. And coming from Attica, you can relate, right? Like numbers are
Absolutely.
always kindly the linchpin in some of these, right? Like kids don't want to participate because programs aren't successful. Well, you can't become successful until you have numbers and you can figure out how to navigate those waters. But we were blessed enough to have kids kind of buy in and give us an opportunity, and we had increased our numbers to 38 to 30. We had 38 at the high. We ended up finished with around 35 on the roster our second year. And it looks like we're going to be somewhere around those numbers again this year. And being able to win a few games helped out a lot. It's so you have the financial restrictions and limitations. Now I have been blessed. Our program has been blessed to have some amazing donors and some amazing alumni and amazing parents. We have never, I have never really felt like, man, I just wish our program could have this, and not able to get it because of funds. But it's still small football. Just trying to change the culture within the athletic program again, getting kids to participate because they care about their fellow students, their fellow teammates, whether they're basketball players or track runners or swimmers, and just consistency, right? Like I'm getting ready to have our 5th AD going on my 3rd year. I've been through a number of superintendents, principals, counselors, assistant principals. The basketball program has finally got a great coach in Coach Burlingame, and our baseball team. And, you look at our most consistent coaches. Austin Faulkner is the head wrestling coach. Ken Jones is the swimming coach. Allie Schultz is our cheerleading coach. Ron Hemmerling is our girls basketball coach. And these guys have been there for a number of years. So those teams are traditionally more successful teams.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, when you're still looking at Indiana and the hierarchy of sports, they can be great as they want to be. It's just really hard to get a fan base to go to a swim meet, to go to a wrestling meet all day, to go, so we need to get back to that holistic team approach on all levels of sports. So everybody's successful and everybody doesn't have to do without things that their programs need.
Yeah, definitely having numbers, your number growth going up will help you in the long run, especially in the community, your community too, because it's like numbers has been a big issue for small schools, especially like Attica, Clinton Central.
Central. Yeah, I mean,
what are some non-negotiables in your program? The things that are absolutely core to how you run things year in and year out.
Attitude, respect. Like we don't tolerate disrespect at any level, from coaches to players. I mean, just like, to me, it all starts and ends with respect. If you respect yourself, you respect the program, you respect if you make respect a non-negotiable, then all the other things kind of fall into play, right? So if you don't respect the program, then you have attendance issues, you have grade issues, you have discipline issues, right? So so one thing that when I took over, I just felt like there was these kids just had a lot on their plate. There's a lot of multiple sport athletes, and then even within the program at the time, there was a lot of overcomplication of things. So we try to keep things very simple, right? So non-negotiable is respect. I just feel like if you have respect for like I said, for yourself, the program, your coaches, your teammates, then all those other things will fall into play. Um, and we don't. Again, it goes back to respect, but like dishonesty, right? Like we would rather
Mm-hmm.
communication is a non-negotiable. Like you've got to communicate with your position coach first, and then your coordinator, and then coach has got to communicate. Like I got to communicate with the athletic department, with the administration, the community. So we all hold each other accountable for that. But I would say that the biggest non-negotiable for me in our program is respect.
Absolutely. Like respect is like the thing in football. Like if you show someone respect, they will respect you. Like if you're facing someone, it's like sportsmanship too. Like if you knock somebody on the ground, you're like give them a hand and help them up,
Yeah. So so what we try to have every year, well, we don't try, we have a theme for the year. So last year's theme was driven, like we needed to be driven, which is a relentless, to be relentlessly compelled to accomplish your mission. My first year it was compelled. This year, in fact, our theme is discipline, right? Doing the right thing even when no one's watching. Like we had a couple kids, like I've been coaching, this will be my 14th year. We had 2 kids thrown out of games last year just because frustration got the best of them. I got a personal foul at one game for so like that's absolutely right. Like, so we talk about respect. It's tied to discipline. So that is our mantra this year. That's kind of what we lead everything. We end every practice with a breakdown of discipline because that's going to be what's going to take us to the next step, right? Like we won 1 game our first year together. We won 3. We want to crack the 5 games, have a winning season, try to win a playoff game.
Absolutely.
Central hasn't had a winning season and a playoff victory in the same year since when I coached here my first season in 2015. And in fact, we lost to Attica that year in the second round of the playoffs. So beat them in the regular season and then lost in the second round.
I believe I was on that team that lost to you guys, that beat you guys, and
sectionals.
No, the 2018 you said.
No, it was 2015. I think it was a
No, I
2015
wasn't.
season in the class of 2016 graduates.
Yeah, I don't. In the 2015 season, you guys played Attica.
Then
we played lost to Central Catholic.
Yep, that year. So they lost to Central Catholic in the sectional championship game.
Yep.
Yes. That was
Golden
Douglas was a freshman that year.
I love Jay Dougie. Shout out to Jay Dougie, by the way. I remember it was my 7th grade year. We were playing you guys. I went to the game, and my coach mentioned us. Coach Douglas is playing against his son this year. I was like, I thought Coach Douglas's son went to Attica. I didn't know he had 2 sons.
Yes, 3 actually. They also his oldest Jacob graduated from Western. Joe, who I had the pleasure of coaching his senior year, went to Clinton Central, and then Jordan went to Attica.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Jordan. He really taught me a lot my freshman year.
Good.
Which it was great. But all right. Every program has growing pains. What's something your team has struggled with in the past that you've worked hard to improve?
Weight room, getting in the weight room, having the discipline and the the respect for one another to just when we took over, there was no real vision for strength training, speed training. So I instantly fell back on what I knew. We established the Bigger, Faster, Stronger program. I played for, that's what it was when I played. We've been very successful. We've been able to put on weight. We've been able to gain speed, strength. Um, Tavio Henson, who is the strength and conditioning coach for Westfield High School, has been a great asset to me. Great friend. So I've reached out to him quite a bit, helping to
Mm-hmm.
develop some of our agility stuff, some of our conditioning drills, some of our speed drills. Um, so that was kind of where it started. Was just the base of everything. Um, if you're slow and you're weak, it doesn't matter what scheme you're trying to run.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta, you know, if you're fast and you're strong and you can hit and you can tackle, like we'll find a spot for you on the field.
Absolutely. How do you handle leadership within the team? Do you have captains, a leadership council, or is it more organic?
No, so that was kind of from a player standpoint, that was kind of one of the I don't want to call it a shortcoming, but like we just didn't have experienced leaders in the locker room. So our seniors this year were sophomores when we took over. My first
Mm-hmm.
year, we had one senior, um, Dougie Newton, great guy, great football player. It was just overwhelming for him, right? Like you're just one guy trying to lead all
Mm-hmm.
these, and had never had a really good example from any of his upperclassmen on what good leadership was. Um, so we've done some like classes on leadership. We've talked, about being a subordinate leader and what that looks like and what
Mm-hmm.
that takes. Um, you don't necessarily have to be the vocal leader, lead by example if that's and what does that mean? Being a good example in the classroom, in the hallways, in the locker room,
Mm-hmm.
always showing up, being willing to do things, go above and beyond for your teammates. We have this year 5 seniors, and I think it's going to be our best from a leadership standpoint. I think these
Mm-hmm.
guys are really great leaders. They've been in the program. This is their 3rd year. Like I said, we've had very consistent coaches. Um, that so everybody kind of knows everybody. They say usually by year 3 you kind of figure
Mm-hmm.
out if what you're selling is really sticking, and we're feeling pretty confident. So I feel that we have a lot of great leaders now. When it comes to just basic, we'll have seniors will probably be like Friday nights. We try to reward. We'll have one of the captains on Fridays be the varsity MVP from that week. Whoever
Mm-hmm.
performed the best, either during the week or in the game for the JV, we'll allow them to go out and be a captain as a reward for their hard work and leadership. Just to kind of, like I said, just as a reward for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, but usually, leaders kind of rise to the top. Like I've never been one to like, hey, you're the leader, you're the leader. Leaders just traditionally and historically will just kind of start to rise to the top and take the reins. And our seniors are doing a great job of that so far this year.
Good, good. I love it. I love it. How involved are you with your players just beyond just football, academically in the community, even in helping them map out their futures?
So like I said, I'm extremely tied into academics. We do grade checks every week. We have Thursday morning study tables where we bring people in, where we have teachers and instructional assistants and peer mentors
Mm-hmm.
come in. And we do that for all levels from junior high to the high school. I am probably more so than most coaches tied in academically, just because I know most of our players aren't going to go beyond high school. I just want them to start developing that good
Mm-hmm.
work ethic, and understanding what it means to be, held accountable for mission accomplishment and doing things to a standard. Um, I as far as like their personal lives and stuff, like I have, we've had some ups and downs in our program. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so like we uh, tie in, like I said, I have several players whose families I went to high school with, their mom and dads. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so like I have a lot of close relationships with kids outside of the program. But my players, I hope they know, and I think they do, that if they ever needed me, I would be there in a heartbeat. We just had prom last weekend, and I was communicating with all those players that were going to prom, and just,
Mm-hmm.
if something happens and you need a ride or whatever, like don't like let's call me or whatever. Let's make sure we do the right things, make good choices. But they mean everything to me. So like I think that
Mm-hmm.
uh, that they understand, and they see my sincerity and my true love for them, and so um, like we're pretty tight knit, right? So like I think some of them can see that just because they may have struggled a little bit academically, socially, maybe they don't come from the greatest home. Um, that not everybody in the world's out to get them. That they can be successful if they choose not to be the victim.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Coach. My last question of the day is fast forward 10, 20 years. What do you hope your former players say when they look back on their playing time for you?
Uh, well, I hope that they can say about me what I can say about Coach Douglas, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he was tough, but he was fair. Um, the lessons that he taught me uh, were ones that I can use in every facet of my life, whether it's being a father, a grandfather, a
Mm-hmm.
husband, a teacher, a coach. Um, I want them to be able to say, we always knew what we got with Coach. We may not have always liked what he had to say, but we always know he came from the heart and truly had our best interest all the time. And that, I hope that, they always feel that they were loved and respected by myself and my other coaches.
All right, Coach. I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate you coming on, talking about your program. I feel like I've learned a lot. Hopefully, like maybe I could catch a game, catch a practice, interview
Yeah,
some of your players. I would love to do that. I'd love to get involved with put small programs on the spotlight. But I thank you, Coach, and I hope you
absolutely.
have a wonderful day. This is
All right,
Sideline
sir.
Shenanigans. I'm Bryan Jones. He's Jeremy Fendley. You have a great day.